All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, May 13th. I have the time at 6:15. We have set aside this time for a public hearing concerning our wall sign regulations. This time has been reserved to allow any public comment regarding an ordinance to adopt, modifying our wall sign regulations in the zoning ordinance. The first consideration of the ordinance took place on March 11th. The notice of this public hearing was published on April 14th, 2025. Is there anybody here in attendance tonight that wishes to talk about the wall sign regulation? We'll give a little bit of time in case somebody happens to be dashing into the door at the last minute. All right, I still don't see anybody at this time. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion to adjourn from Alderman Harper. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Schaefer. Any discussion? All in favor of closing the public hearing time, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will pick up with our May board meeting at 6:30 promptly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you for coming to our May meeting of the Atoka Board and Alderman. My name is Mayor Barry Aiken. On behalf of myself, the board, and the town of Atoka staff, I would like to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your, what I'm sure is a busy schedule, to see how your town government works. When you came in the room tonight, there were 2 sheets to sign in. One of them is kind of an attendance sheet that we just want a record of you being here. And if we need to get back with you, that makes things a little easier. The other one at the top of it is the public comment sheet. And if you have something that you wish to address to the board tonight, when we get to our public comment section, they'll bring me that. I'll call your name, ask you to come up to the podium. You do not, if you're here tonight to talk about the donations, you do not have to have that for the public comment period. When we get to new business, we'll give you time to come up and talk about your organization. So there's also copies of the meeting agenda back there. That's of course, your guide to what we'll be going over tonight. We just ask you that during the public comment period, you try to keep it to around 2 minutes. That way, if there are other people, we give everybody a chance to have their time to speak. And we would just ask you to be respectful. And again, we appreciate everybody being here tonight. So as we do with all of our meetings, we are going to open up tonight with a word of prayer, and then we're going to do our pledge of allegiance. Alderman Poole said he calls him preacher, but I call him Pastor Robert Chumley of the City of Refuge Church. I've asked him to come tonight and open us with a word of prayer. And then after that, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. So anybody that wishes to participate at this time, please stand. Pastor Chumley, it's up to you.
All right. First, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, and all you aldermen, our police department, our fire department, all the great leadership and the protection that you show us here in the city. I'm proud to be a resident of Atoka. I've been here 27 years. Matter of fact, they call me Mayor of Mabel. So, but it's an honor to be here tonight. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we want to thank you, Lord, that you are the way, the truth, and the life, God. Lord, that you've set a path and a purpose before each and every one of us tonight, Lord. And I ask you to give us the strength and the courage and the wisdom to accomplish and to succeed in the things that you've set before us. Lord, I ask you to strengthen our leadership, that you give them courage, you give them wisdom, God, that they continue doing the great job that they're doing, Lord. And I ask you, Lord, to hedge each and every one of us in by your word and cover us in your precious blood, God. And I ask you tonight, Lord, all in Jesus' name, for your mercy and your grace. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Also, just a little bit of housekeeping. So we're not going to have the monitors on tonight. And board, if you've got the monitor on, all it's going to do is show you the municipal court in front of you, because that's all it's going to do. We do have a piece of equipment that is missing in action, and we've got to purchase another one of those. So that is why the monitor, we didn't forget. We just don't have that wireless display item to be able to propagate to that. So I have today is Tuesday, May 13th, and I have the time at 6:34 p.m. I would ask the roll call to be taken by Ms. Rachel, our recorder.
Mayor Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Lightsey.
Here.
Alderman Dietschy. Here. Alderman Harber.
Here.
Alderman Giannini.
Here, ma'am.
Alderman Schaefer.
Here.
Alderman Poole.
Here, ma'am.
We do have everybody present tonight. We do have a quorum to conduct the town's business. So we'll press right on ahead with our public comment period, item 3 on your agenda. And I have Ms. Stephanie Borman. Ms. Stephanie, you would come up to the podium and tell us your address, Ms. Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Borman. I live in Atoka. I have lived in or around here all of my life. And my family comes from here, and the rest of my family lives all over Tipton County.
What's your address, Ms. Stephanie?
125 Atkinson Circle.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not here to fuss about anything. I just want to make one suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that y'all do grants on a regular basis. And a lot of times those grants have to do with the city's own property, which is fine. You go ahead and do the grants and get those done. But when those grants have to do with other people's property, I feel like, and I think a lot of the residents would feel like, the first person that needs to be contacted is the landowner, not what should we do by some whoever is suggesting what you should do. But the landowner is the first person that is involved in this, and I think that they should be the first person that you talk to. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Stephanie. We have Ms. Megan Ward. Ms. Megan, you for the...
I'm here for
Okay.
the Nations Mayor. So
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I kind of thought that was probably it. So that is it.
Mayor, I sent a meeting question we had submitted via email.
Oh, okay. So this is from Mr. John Stacy. And just to back up just a little bit, so anybody that does have a question for the board, you can submit an email to us as far as meeting. If you put in you address it to meeting question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so I'm going to read this. Mr. Stacy, you're here tonight, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'll read it, and then since we're still doing public comment, Mr. Stacy, you can
All right.
come up here. So this says, I'll introduce myself to get this started. My name's John Stacy. I live at 96 South Chinkapin Drive. My wife and I moved to Atoka over 12 years ago to be closer to our grandchildren and our children. We love living here because we believe that this community is safe and the leadership looks out for the safety of its citizens. In the past few months, I've noticed an increase in the speed that drivers are doing on our street. And again, this is Mr. John lives on South Chinkapin. There's also been a disregard for the four-way stop sign at the intersection of Chinkapin and Cherry Bark. I give credit to the Atoka Police Department for increasing their presence, but it's not enough. There are 3 families on this stretch of road with children who actively play outside. They like to ride their bikes and play with each other. That's the real concern here, after all. Do we want to see a child injured or worse before we take action to protect them on our streets? That answer is a hard no. The speed limit on the street is 20 miles per hour. I've seen cars routinely drive double that. I've noticed that the speed limit is not posted along this part of Chinkapin. That's the first and easiest fix. But there needs to be more. I requested a speed bump on the street and I was denied. But you knew that would happen. Why? It makes zero sense to me not to have some on the road that would deter cars from speeding throughout our neighborhoods and possibly hurting children. I've spoken with each of my neighbors. They all agree something needs to be done, and soon, before we have a child severely injured. I had the privilege to speak with Captain Kaiser of the Atoka Police Department yesterday. I look forward to working with the Atoka Police to fix this problem, but they can only do so much. This board has the power to put a permanent fix in, and the sooner the better.
I want to expound on that. First of all, I don't have any kids that age. I do this because I care about the kids in my neighborhood. And I noticed driving around Atoka, drive around and sit in public spots and watch cars drive through our town. As this town has grown, so has driving fast. You going down Walker, it says what, 30? How many times you've seen somebody drive 50, 55 going down that road? We have to find a way to permanently slow people down. Increase police presence. Well, that's not possible. We have, and I know they don't want to do speed bumps. And I've heard 2 arguments on that. Snowplows, I've lived on Chinkapin since December of 2013. Want to guess how many times I saw a snowplow on my street? There you go. None. How many times have you seen a snowplow in my neighborhood? None. So that's arguments weak. Then I heard tonight about emergency vehicles. I drove emergency vehicles for a large portion of my U.S. Navy career as a Navy hospital corpsman. My speed limit for driving my ambulance to any emergency was 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, no matter where I was. And that included ones with police escorts. Okay, Shelby County let me get away driving really fast on 51, I ain't gonna lie. But emergency vehicles shouldn't be busting through neighborhoods doing 40 or 50 miles an hour either. So the speed bumps would only detract those who seek to speed. They put up one of those machines that you're going this fast and it records it. We haven't got that documentation tonight. But I've noticed a difference in the way that they get to that sign and go, whoop. And it's affected some, but it's not affected others. You know what the sad part about all these speeders is? I see families driving down that street doing 40. A mom and her 2 kids in the back seat, and she's driving down that street. Now, if I would do that in front of her house, she'd be standing out there throwing rocks at me. So we've got to find a permanent solution to this. You can't have a cop at that 4-way stop every day. And that 4-way stop is merely a suggestion. I've seen an Atoka fire department truck blow through that, not a truck, but a pickup truck, blow through that 4-way stop like it was nothing. I spoke with 2 people who live on that 4-way stop. Both of them said, what 4-way stop? A California roll happens a lot. After 8 o'clock at night, it's merely a suggestion, and it doesn't work very well. And I don't like going out to the street to pick up my garbage cans after dark because I never know who's coming around that corner and how fast they're going. I saw a school bus get to 30, 35 after he left that stop sign today going down that street. A school bus. We need more speed limit signs throughout our neighborhoods. Everyone, in our neighborhood alone, there are 3 speed limit signs. Each one as you come in the neighborhood, you don't see another one.
Mr. John?
I'm sorry to keep going. You know I'm passionate about this.
Yes, sir. And I spoke to you. I think
Yes, sir.
Alderman Arbor spoke to you.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. As far as there's an easy thing we can do, as far as if we need to put more signage, we will definitely get that taken care of, and we'll get more signage. The bigger picture, the board, we had a subdivision that came to us asking a very similar request, and at that time we had a public safety committee
Yes, sir.
that I thought we were making really good progress on laying down like a protocol for, while you feel very passionately, there will be other people that feel just as passionately that would say, I don't want to see a speed bump or hump.
Right.
What we were trying to lay down is some guidelines for letting the neighborhood vote. You know, it would say there had to be so much percentage of approval and things like that. Ultimately, the board didn't feel that was something that we wanted to take up at that time. So that's all I can tell you right now. Does anybody want to talk about that?
I would love to hear the dissent. I can get all day, but if you tell me it's about emergency vehicles, I'll tell you one day that emergency vehicle is going to have to come out there and pick up a 7-year-old kid that a speeder came through the street and killed. That's going to happen.
Or a parent taking their kid to the school bus?
Huh?
Or a parent picking up their kids from the school bus?
Exactly. This is going to happen unless we find ways to slow people down. And an increased policing presence, we ain't got the budget for that. You're going to hire 15 more cops to patrol the streets like that? I don't want to live like that either. Whereas speed bumps placed in main thoroughfares in neighborhoods will save lives. Period.
Well, let's, how about this, Mr. John? We will have the board reconsider. We'll bring up, I was going to say, we're going to be talking about having a work session or actually a special call session in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
And we can see how the board wants to proceed.
Okay. May I attend that?
Oh, all of our meetings are open to the public.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just let me know.
Unless we ever have executive session with our legal counsel,
Yes, sir.
every meeting is open to the public
Yeah.
and has to be advertised as such.
And we know where each other lives. I make that joke.
Yes, sir. You know where I live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I don't want to sound angry, but in some ways I am, because
Yes.
yeah, look, and like I said, I don't have a dog in this hunt. This is about other people's kids, not mine.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, Mr. John.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Mhm.
So that would be, do I have any more questions from email?
No, sir.
All right. All right, item 4 on our agenda, we come to our consent agenda, and there are many items listed under the consent agenda, consent agenda. Usually these are considered routine, and we will generally pass these all in one motion. Any board member has the opportunity to pull anything out of the consent agenda to be discussed separately at a later time. So I would entertain a motion about our consent agenda, Exhibit A through I tonight.
So moved.
Have a motion by Alderman Poole to approve all those items in the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Alderman Giannini. Any discussion?
Mayor, I personally would like to pull the financial and sales tax report. I just have one question to talk to the staff about our water funds.
I have a question, one quick question about the ARPA funds.
Okay, so, Chief, you want to modify your motion? I guess we're saying that we pull out Exhibit B, and is that it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to consent agenda, section B.
Okay,
Second.
all right, so we have a updated, we have it seconded, and all in favor of approving those items except for Exhibit B, say aye.
Aye.
Any disapproval? All right, so those items are passed. Item 5 in our agenda tonight is old business, and we would have our final and second reading on the zoning ordinance concerning our sign regulations. We did have a public hearing at 6:15. Nobody had any comments during that time. Mr. Town Administrator, you want to recap this for us, Exhibit J?
Yes, sir. Just a brief recap. This has gone to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did consider the changes and revisions. I believe you and Alderman Harbour are on the Planning Commission, and we also, in your packet, provided the staff report that the Planning Commission was provided, as it relates to the wall signs. So, Planning Commission's resolution, I believe, is also included in your packet, that they do recommend revisions to the wall sign regulations, and we're here to consider that this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir. So just to recap, he just said it, but this does come with a recommendation from the Planning Commission for approval. And I would entertain a motion and I don't believe we had anything about on the first reading, but I would entertain a motion on this Exhibit J in your agenda this evening.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Giannini. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Lightsey. Any other discussion from the board?
Just want to
Finally, go ahead.
Just want to clarify for the minutes that these do not include the political signs.
That is
That
correct.
is
Yes, sir. There was no recommendation out of the planning, there was no recommendation from the Planning Commission on the political sign language at this time.
All right, as this is the second consideration of the ordinance, is there any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none, will the recorder please read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 2, Section 201 of the Atoka Municipal Code related to the zoning ordinance in Atoka, Tennessee.
I should have done that at the beginning, but you've already got it. So we got a motion by, was it Alderman Giannini? And we have a second by Alderman Lightsey. All right. All right, since this is an ordinance, we will do this by a roll call vote. And we'll start with Alderman Lightsey.
Yes.
Alderman Deachy.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Alderman Giannini.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Poole.
Yes.
We have unanimous on that. On the second reading, it is adopted and passed. All right, The new business, so what we pulled out will now be this next item for new business. And that would be the financial and sales tax report. Alderman Harbour, I believe you had something?
Yes, I noticed this month in the water fund, we had a loss of $14,375, and we've been tracking really good so far. I was just gonna ask if we maybe had some of those unreimbursed expenses that was kind of a, we're doing okay, we had one of those, you know.
Yes,
we're gonna
sir.
get right in the road.
And I know the town recorder can provide some additional information on that, so I'm gonna let her do that now.
So I spoke with Ellen, who does all of our submittal for the reimbursements. I'm waiting on the complete breakdown because when the state sends it to us, it's a one lump sum. So it goes straight to sewer because it is the bigger projects. So I'm getting the breakdowns from Ellen on the percentage that goes to water. And as soon as I have those, a check will be cut from sewer to water.
Okay. Is Wesley here? I guess my only question is, do you know of any other projected unknown or water expenses that we might be looking at? You think we're good?
No, sir.
Director Yarborough, would you come forward, please? I'm not gonna let you get off that easy. Yeah.
Check.
So
No,
this is our Public Works Director, Mr. Wesley Yarborough. Go ahead.
Yes. No, sir. We don't. Me and Miss Rachel have gone over all that. We've been doing that for the last couple of days, just clearing everything up. No, sir. We do not expect anything unless we have major.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's all I have.
Alderman Schaefer, I believe you had some.
Yeah, I was just curious, with the remaining ARPA funds, it's $702,000, I didn't got 300 of that for the roundabout, correct? And then what was it, the remaining projects on that bridge?
The pipelining over at Pioneer and then the Walker, Wesley.
Director Yarborough will approach the podium again.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. I was asking, the remaining ARPA funds, we got 702,000 showing with 300 earmarked for the roundabout. I was just curious what the remaining balance of that was going for. The remaining balances will be the pipelining for Pioneer Park. And I can't remember the rest of the stuff right off the top of my head. A lot of it was 300,000 was for the roundabout. And I'll have to get back with you on the rest of it. I can get back with you. The pipeline and on the Pioneer Park.
Culvert?
Yeah.
Yeah, each 6 of it is the second payment for the fence. too.
Yes.
Yeah, and the
then
second payment
parks.
for the
Still
fence.
have my second payment that's gonna go out next week for the rest of the fencing. It's about 82,000.
We can get you.
We'll get you a final breakdown.
on that,
Yeah,
if you'd like.
no biggie. Thanks. Want me to stay up here?
I believe that'll be it.
Thank you, sir.
Chair would entertain a motion about the financial and sales tax report.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Alderman Schaefer. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Alderman Harbour. I think all questions have been asked. So all in favor of approving Exhibit B, in your packet say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is adopted also. Our next new business request, or item 6, is new business. And the original one on there is our donation request. This is Exhibit K in your packet. Mr. Town Administrator?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So you've got several requests this evening, 5 to go along with that. So there has been a level of funds that's been budgeted in the proposed budget, which the board will consider at next month's meeting for a final consideration. And I believe first up is Foster Gift for $1,500, Boy Scouts for $1,500, Munford High School Band Boosters for $1,598, Casa Tipton County for $1,500, and the Tipton County Carl Perkins Center for $2,000. So representatives, if they're requesting a donation from the town, that they're supposed to be at the May meeting to substantiate those requests and answer any questions that the board might have. I believe we've got most everyone represented tonight.
Okay, we'll just start at the, in the order that's listed in the packet. Do we have somebody about the Foster Gift here tonight? Come on up, ma'am. You just give us your name and address, please.
My name is Shannon Leach, and I'm 1911 Garland Drive in Covington, Tennessee.
All right, Ms. Shannon, go ahead.
Okay. I'm from the Foster Gift. I am the founder and community relations director. We are in our third year of service for Tipton County, based here in Tipton County. And we have several services that serve children who cannot return home that are in crisis. So that could be primarily kids that are coming into foster care that may be waiting at police stations or ERs or fire stations or things like that. We also serve kids that may have been in a car accident or a fire, anything like that, house fire, where first responders have responded and DCS is not there yet, or a plan has not been established. So during that time when they're waiting, we have an on-call team that responds and brings things like blankets, clothes, food, whatever the first responders ask us for. We also install child-friendly waiting areas in places like police stations, juvenile court, so that the kids, if we're not there, the kids have a place to wait. And everything that we put in those areas, the children are allowed to take with them when they leave. So if they find a toy or something that they like, they're allowed to keep it and take them with them when they go. So it brings something, a little bit of comfort to them during a time of transition when the adults are making all the decisions and the kids are kind of just waiting. Some of our other services that we have include kids that are turning 18 and coming out of care, out of foster care. There's not a lot of great transition options for them right now, and we would like to keep them in our community and keep them healthy in our community. And so we offer things like scholarships, whether they're going to college or not. We have Christmas assistance for the first year that they're out on their own to try and give them some household startup things like that to help them keep the community. We're working on some other options to try and expand that in the future. It's a big gap right now for those kids that are turning 18 coming out of foster care. There's just not a lot of choices for them. And so we want to help them be as successful as we possibly can, so we're looking to the future of that. Some of our things that we have during foster care services are support of our foster parents in our community. We have a LIFT program called Linking Individual Fosters Together. Because of the way that the system is set up with DCS and private foster care agencies, a lot of our foster parents go through different agencies and they're not connected with each other. And they're also doing a lot of their new training online now, and so they don't even meet foster parents in the initial process of when they're becoming. So they're walking into kind of a scary situation with some children and learning how to do it kind of on their own. There's not a lot of time for them to reach out for support because their schedules kind of double what a typical parent would be when the court dates and visitations and things like that. So we're trying to offer services where we have a quarterly gathering where we get together, we offer childcare for the children, teen activities with licensed therapists and social workers, and we let the foster parents just hang out and have a safe place to vent, talk, have a snack. We don't care if they wear their pajamas, we just want to give them a safe place to connect. So our hope is that they will stay in foster parenting longer and provide us more homes so that kids aren't having to wait as long, and that they'll also build a bigger community on their own, and that will organically grow as we offer them an opportunity to do that. And so some of the other things that we do is foster gift finders. That is when we have a child that comes into care and they switch schools a lot, or they may have been first chair band in their original school, but their trumpet got left behind when they came into care. And so we want to level that playing field so they can be out there with their peers. So whether it's softball, color guard, band, whatever, senior pictures, if they come in as a senior, prom dresses, things like that. We have a specialty team that will go looking and connecting with resources in our community to get that child whatever they need, because foster parents can't always afford it and DCS doesn't provide it. So we're trying to make sure that they have an opportunity to have a good school experience just like the other kids are having. So that's kind of the big gist of what we do. I'm more than welcome to entertain questions.
So y'all handle all of Tipton County?
We handle all of Tipton County.
What percentage would you say of your cases or what you do are here in Atoka?
I would say we are more heavily represented in Covington. I will say that as far as the children coming in on call. As far as our place to wait locations and our donations, we are equally spread throughout the county. We actually have our storage is here in Munford. So we're staying and we're not going anywhere. But I would say more of our population is heavily represented, just as the population is by children coming into care is more heavily represented in Covington area.
Right. Did you know? You are so knowledgeable. I'm doing a proclamation of May is Foster Care awareness.
Yeah, we're dragging Tennessee Kids Belong into our community from Middle Tennessee
All right.
because they're making communities foster care aware. So we're partnering with them. We believe in partnering with other nonprofits, not working against them. So we support every nonprofit that's here tonight, including
Come
Costco.
back up when I read the proclamation and give us some stats or something.
Yes, I actually was a foster kid in care. I actually graduated out into foster care, and that's how I come into the system. And then I went and got a social work degree, so they kind of put me in the system and never let me out. So, yeah. So here we go.
Board have any other questions for Ms. Shannon?
Sounds like a fabulous ministry.
I'd just like to say thank you for saying that.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Boy Scouts. Mr. Henry, good.
Oh, he said no. So I'm here for Atoka Boy Scouts.
What's your name?
I'm Josh Price.
Yes.
I am the advancement chair for Atoka Scouts. I'm also the district committee chair for West Tennessee district. We are the biggest troop with 25 kids and 15 adults. And we are coming up on our 80th birthday. We were actually founded in 1945, chartered with Atoka in 1946. And we've since I started tracking Eagle Scouts, we've had 68 scouts achieve Eagle Scout. And then since 2018, they've been doing Journey to Excellence. It's an award based on how your troop performs for recruiting and advancement and stuff like that. We've gotten the highest award since inception of that award in 2018. But we're requesting $1,500 this year. That's basically for program materials for our youth, including books, merit badges for classes and camps, awards for advancement for our youth, travel expenses to and from camps, and to do projects for conservation and mostly conservation project stuff. And because that's all volunteer POV for all our travel and everything. And we also do, so like when you see the flags for Memorial Day, 4th of July, 9/11, Scouts put all those out along Tokayville and 51 here. And we do the annual flag retirement ceremonies. So it's kind of where I'm at here.
Does the board have questions for Mr. Josh? I've got approximately how many scouts do you have right now?
25. That's what we had when I wrote this. We just did recharter, so I think we may have. Is it 25 still?
I think we're still right at
I think,
about.
yeah, because we lost them, we picked some up too. So
We are,
yeah.
currently Atoka is from what I understand,
Yeah.
the largest troop within the West Tennessee area council.
We are.
In our western.
Well, in the district, yes.
Western district,
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned your Eagle Scouts. You've done Eagle Scout projects with the town. Y'all partner with the town.
We actually did this one here. We equipped that room. Actually, Mr. Suter's son Josh equipped
He's
this
talking
room.
about the safe room.
Yeah, the safe room with games and entertainment and storage for when everyone is in here, so they're not bored. And then, actually, not one of our Eagle Scouts, or candidates, but there's going to be a project in front of in Atkinson Park. Someone's fundraising for that one right now. So if you guys have any Eagle Scout project recommendations, we have Andy here. I think he might have one in the works, but he's working on his Eagle right now, and then we have 2 others that are coming up pretty quick here. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Melissa. Anybody? Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Appreciate it. Mumford High School Band Boosters. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Tom Combs, address 483 Juliana Drive. As an Eagle Scout, father of 2 Eagle Scouts. Good to see the scouts here. great Alderman Harbor helped my son out with his project up in Covington. But here tonight on behalf of the Band Boosters, for those who don't know what the Mumford High School Band Boosters is, it's the support organization that supports the band at Mumford High School. For over the past 30 years, the Mumford High School Band has been synonymous in achievement, service, and being able to provide some of the best musical program that the area offers. You know, they have been from Macy's to the Tournament of Roses Parade to Disney World, Disneyland, and everything. And since the retirement of Mr. Troball a few years ago with our new band director, Mr. Stevens, we set forth kind of a new path, a new chapter that is, for the past 2 years we've been in, and it's called a program called Bands of America, which is the top tier band competition circuit in the United States. Bands from all over the United States will gather once a year for what's called Grand Nationals in Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium. It is the largest stage of marching band arts in the United States, and this next year we're going to be going to Indianapolis to represent our county. And part of that, when we're going to be competing against schools where their band fees are $3,500 a student. They have 700 students, and they have a lot. And so what we've been doing over the last several years, if you've been by Mumford High School, we have a semi-trailer now that we've been able to acquire. And other aspects of what we've been able to try to do is we have to build out a sound system. That's been roughly about $50,000 to be able to do it. And so tonight, part of our ask as part of this is we have 2 microphones that we need for our stage, or to be pointed out on the field to grab the entire ensemble that we can mix to better be able to fill Lucas Oil Stadium when we're there. And so this would be a huge help. Any dollar that we get is a dollar that we don't have to charge a student in their band fees. And we kind of pride ourselves on having some of the lowest band fees due to our community support, due to our parent support, sponsors, and everything that we have. And we do anything and everything we can to be able to get that as low as possible. We even accept donations into our Angel Fund. This past year, we gave away, in that fund, roughly about $8,000 in grants to students to help cover their band fees. So we do anything and everything we can to make sure every student, no matter socioeconomic situation, has an opportunity to participate in band. And with that, you know, it shows in this past week we had our senior concert, and roughly we had 47 seniors, and they earned $4.5 million in college scholarships. And so there's a huge impact that music has in our community, and it's because of support from our municipalities and other awesome folks in Tipton County. So.
Mr. Tom, do you know the percentage or number of students as far as that are Atoka students in the Mumford Band?
I would say it's probably close to, I'd probably say about 45% is from Atoka.
So we're not talking a small number here.
No, we have 185 students in the band.
Okay.
And that's just high school. We have roughly 250 to 300 students in Mumford Middle that we support also.
So you're saying, you mentioned this money will be going toward microphones and if, I don't want to sum up incorrectly, but to kind of offset the student fees.
Correct.
Yeah, as y'all go around and represent this area.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And these microphones are pretty critical for our ability to be able to be on the field in Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Colts play in Indianapolis and stuff.
Any questions from the board?
Local concerts and stuff like that?
We do. Well, I mean, we have our normal concerts that are at our at the high school. We have several community concerts where students will play in ensembles, and all our students participate in All West competitions where they'll go and earn spots in regional bands and everything. So.
Well, I was going to say, was it this last fall? I was encouraged to see Mumford, Brighton, and Covington did a joint.
Yep. Well, actually, yeah. For the past 3 years, we do what's called the Tipton County Showcase.
Yes.
Where it kind of came together, and so all 3 of the high schools come together and they perform their show. And what we do is we rotate between each high school. So like first year was at Mumford, then it was at Brighton, and this past year was at Covington. And then it'll be back at Mumford this year. And so what we do is we ask for a simple donation at the gate, and then we split it three ways with the schools, each of the schools.
Might have the opportunity for doing some fundraising too.
Awesome. Yeah, we enjoy hearing that.
Any other questions for Mr. John? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We have, next, we have CASA of Tipton County. We have somebody here from CASA tonight?
They do know that this is for the next budget.
Could I speak on behalf of CASA?
I used
Yeah, it
to,
sounded like you work pretty closely.
well, I used to be their program director, so I don't know if Mr. Jim had something
I'm
going on.
surprised Mr. Jim's not here.
Yeah. So anyway, so CASA of Tipton County, if you're not familiar,
Can
is
you tell them what CASA stands for? We're not talking about a Mexican restaurant.
yes. Although the cheese dip is good. It's court-appointed special advocates, and what they do, they're all volunteer team, and they go in and work with our court system here in Tipton County for children coming in abuse and neglect cases. And so when they go into court, I've been a foster kid in that courtroom. That's why I speak. I actually had a CASA when I was a kid. And when you walk in and you're a kid in that courtroom, there's a whole lot going on, and it's very scary. There's attorneys, and there's all these people talking big language, and there's all kinds of stuff going on, and you're just a kid trying to figure it out. And so the CASAs are the child's advocate. They're not there for the parents. They're not there for the attorneys. They're not nothing. They do everything on behalf of the child. So they even go to homes and do home studies and work with the children directly to find their version of the story and their side of the story, and they are their voice in court. And so they are very well respected in our county. Not all counties were very blessed in that, because not all counties have judges that respect their CASAs, but they do here. And so it's a very, very big deal. And there have been a lot of cases and times when in that busy court system, that child's voice was only heard because they had a CASA. And so they're a wonderful program. And I do know for a fact that with a lot of political things that are going on right now, there's a lot of funding cuts at their national level. And so they are locally, if we want to keep them here, they are going to need donations, because their national support is going to diminish. They're still doing great, and they still have volunteers coming in left and right, but every amount that they help can get. And I say that because those are the same population of kids that we work with. And so I don't know how many questions I could answer for him, but I'm shocked Mr. Jim's not here, so.
I will make a statement. Working up here part-time and being in law enforcement, they're there. When it comes to those days, they're there and they're very helpful. Jim sits with us.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Very, very well needed.
And they have other fundraising opportunities too, I know that.
Yes.
I participated in some of those, so, thank you, ma'am. And our last is the Tipton County Carl Perkins Center. Miss Megan, come on up.
All right. Good evening. Megan Ward. I'm with the Tipton County Carl Perkins Center. I'm the office manager. The mission of our center is to provide support to the families in preventing and dealing with child abuse in West Tennessee, and to help both parents and children meet the practical needs of preserving and improving the quality of life for our families. We've been established since October of 1981. We have 23 locations in West Tennessee, and we provide services to our families completely free of charge. These services include forensic interviews for children who are victims of sexual child abuse, physical child abuse, child neglect, malnourishment, children who are in unsafe environments, children exposed to violence in the home, drugs, alcohol, and even children with sexual behavioral issues. We have a full-time victim advocate on staff who helps the caregivers. They also understand like the legal process. Like Shannon was saying, you're in court and you're hearing all this terminology and language and you don't know what it means. So our VA is there with the parents, and she's also there for our kiddos. So if they have to get up there and testify, they're in a courtroom with a bunch of people talking, again, people they don't know, they're scared. So she kind of takes them through the courtroom, shows them where they're going to be speaking with, just so they're comfortable with their environment if they have to get up and testify. We have a full-time therapist on staff. She provides support to the families, kids, the parents. She focuses with the child on that specific type of trauma that they have, so whatever's appropriate for their age is what type of trauma-focused therapy she gives to them. We work closely with our law enforcement, the district attorney's office, medical examiner, Department of Child Services, and we have monthly case reviews of these allegations that have been brought to us. We want to substantiate those perpetrators, and we seek for prosecution. We also provide nurturing parent classes to the community and stewards of children training. So these are services, again, that are open to the community. We have a hygiene and food pantry just to help with extra resources in case of those emergency needs. So with your support, we continue to be able to provide these services free of charge.
Thank you, Ms. Meg. As I think I've asked pretty much everybody.
Sure.
Can you tell me a percentage of cases that you know originate in Atoka? What would you say out of y'all's total?
Honestly, I mean, we know child abuse doesn't discriminate. We do see kids of all ages. I agree with Shannon on that. I think as far as clients, we probably have a heavily presence from the Covington and Drummond's area. I would say maybe 15 to 20% of that is Atoka.
Any questions from Ms. Megan from the board? Thank you for the work you do.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you,
y'all
ma'am.
very much.
So the board has the donation amounts, you've heard from the different people. Tonight, I would entertain a motion. This is Exhibit K in your packet.
Motion to approve the donations as requested.
We have a motion to approve by Alderman Giannini. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Alderman Schaefer. Do we have some discussion?
Yes, I was just gonna verify the amount of funds we set aside budget-wise.
Was it 10? I knew we increased it.
So we originally we had budgeted $1,250 for the agreement with Mumford for the library, and then we increased it to $10,000. So $1,250 of that $10,000 is already due to the agreement with the Tri-Cities for the
So we have
library.
$7,750 if my math is right. Or is that $8,700? $8,000.
So the total request from all 5 organizations is $8,098. So if we add $1,250 to that, that's $93.48. So that would be just shy of the proposed $10,000 budget for the new fiscal year.
Okay. Good question, Alderman. Any other questions for staff?
They are aware that they don't get this till after July 1st. They are aware of that.
And that's my next question, since we haven't approved the budget, are we jumping the gun, or is this okay?
Well, the intent of having the requesters come in May is so as the budget's being developed, that the board has the option to set a line item in the new fiscal year budget. So if the board is approving that, or they decline all of the requests, we would adopt a budget amending the donation line.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We do have a motion. We do have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving Exhibit K, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Come to the next part of our new business is ordinances and resolutions. We come Exhibit L in your packet tonight is the first consideration for water and sewer rates. Mr. Town Administrator, could you give us some background on this, please?
Sure can, Mr. Mayor. So every year that we evaluate the water and sewer rates, again, as we're going through the budget for the water and sewer fund, had a discussion on that, I think it was a few weeks back in our work session, and we've highlighted some of the proposed changes in this ordinance. One of the most important ones, I think, is about the water rates. So the per 1,000 gallon rate is projected to go up 0.078 cents, so just shy of 8 cents. And the reason for that is most folks know that we purchase all of our water from the city of Munford and from Poplar Grove Utility District. Acquisition costs are going up that amount, so we need to adjust our costs and pass that on to our ratepayers. There's no proposed changes in section 2 under the sewer rates. And then our connection tap fees, you can see those changes. I won't walk through each one of them, but we have added some different diameter water meters as they vary in cost above a regular residential pump or residential meter. Sewer tank we've added. There's been a small increase to the relocation and activation fees. We did change, per the board's request, in section 5 under penalties and service fees. We did flatten the fee to restore and activate service after business hours. So there was some inconsistency there, so the board directed to provide some consistency. So it's $100 to restore or activate service after business hours. The other changes are relatively minor, which are highlighted in red, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
This is the first consideration, excuse me, I forgot to turn that back on. Is this a first consideration of the ordinance? Is there any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none, will the recorder please read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance to amend Title 18, Chapter 4, Section 403 and 404 of the Atoka Municipal Code related to water and sewer service rates.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on this first consideration?
So moved.
I have a motion by Alderman Poole. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Alderman Lightsey. Any further discussion? The town administrator kind of highlighted, we did have a work session about this.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for the people in the room, essentially, our rates are only going up what our provider is charging us and not anymore. So it's just to cover the town's expenses. So that was, I think, one of the reasons why we were a little hesitant in the last meeting, but I'm thankful for the work session and answered my questions. And
So we always want you to have all the information before making a decision.
And I think in full transparency, one of the things that we also brought up at that work session, we've been notified by at least one of our providers, Poplar Grove, that there will be an increase every year, I think till 28 or 29. Y'all remember? So they've already told us there's going to be an increase. Any other discussion?
I was going to say, during probably my first year on the board, the town was actually looking into potentially building our own water plants.
Yes.
What happened with that? Was it just costs weren't feasible, or do you remember?
I don't think it would be a bad idea to revisit that.
Yeah.
We did have an engineering study. They came out and gave us suggestions of where the best location for the water plant would be. And again, this would be Atoka. So one of the things I know back then, it's a great question, Alderman Harper. Years ago, the word got out on social media that we were building this plant before anything even got off the ground. We would only do this, and I'm going to speak for the board, but I would think we were only going to do this if this can bring our cost at least, less than what we're looking at. And there will also be some problems with, there are utility districts. Poplar Grove, if you live in a certain area of Atoka, you're going to be provided water by Poplar Grove, and there's nothing we can do about that. So even if we have our own water plant, we necessarily might not be able to service all of our Atoka citizens, just because it's really, really hard to override the boundaries for the utility districts. That's a great question, Alderman. The board, wishes to revisit that. That would be definitely something that we could look back on.
I would.
Doing that.
And Mr. Mayor, I believe I can put my hands on the feasibility study that was done back then. I'd be happy to redistribute that to the board for your review. And if you all want to review that, I realize it's, I want to say it was 2017, 2018 timeframe. We've done at least get your thought process started and start thinking about things.
All right.
Mayor, can I add something? I see a bunch of new faces out here.
Yes, sir.
Listen, we don't set the water rates and it shows a net profit, whether it's $1 or 10,000. The state's gonna come in after we fail that in a couple of years. And if I'm not mistaken, they'll set the rate. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
That's what we don't want. So the increase was passed on. I just don't know if folks know that. The state oversee some of this. Thank you, Mayor.
That's a good point, Alderman Poole. State looks very negatively when utilities lose money. We've been there, and we're getting out of that. We're very glad about that. All right, I believe, do we have a motion and a second on this?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, you do.
All right, any more discussion? This is an ordinance. We'll go by roll call. Alderman Giannini?
Yes.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Shaver?
Yes.
Alderman Deitch?
Yes.
Alderman Poole?
Yes.
Alderman Lacey?
Yes.
That is unanimous on the first reading. Passes first consideration. Next, we have an ordinance, first consideration for our fiscal year 25 budget amendment. As things go throughout the year, we need to keep our budget in line. If there are any things we need to increase or decrease, this is when we do it to keep our budget happy with the state comptroller's office. Mr. Town Administrator, could you give us some background on this, please?
Hey, yes, sir. Just, I think, want to take one quick step back that Alderman Poole highlighted that we don't want the state to come in and set our rates. So y'all may recall, and as he had noted, there's a lot of new faces in the audience. So we are, a year ago, we got placed in the update cycle for the Tennessee Board of Utility Regulation because we were under an order for consecutive years of negative net position. So we have worked real hard to get out of that. The board has made some rate adjustments over the past 18 months to 2 years to get to the position that we're in. So we need to get one more clear audit of positive net position, and then we should be out from within their oversight, T-Board's oversight.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
And the reason that happened was because we were getting the increase, but we were not passing it along. So it wasn't because the money went away.
That's correct. Thank you. Very
Great
good.
addition.
Alderman Giannini, very good point.
And at this time, Mr. Mayor, you have brought up Exhibit M. Our town recorder has some information on the budget amendment.
Do you want to tag along with that?
Do you want to have a discussion about this, or do you want a motion or a title only, or?
Yeah, we're going to do the title only. Are you finished with your background information?
Well, it was more, I didn't think I talked more about the background on Exhibit M. That was, I backed up to what
Okay.
Alderman Poole had discussed, but you wanted to talk about the amended budget.
I would love that.
Amended budget. So, as you noted, Mayor, there's an appropriation requirement before funds are expended. We've got 4 funds that you can see: legislative, fire, solid waste, and water. Within that column, you've got the fiscal year 25 adopted budget, and then the amended proposed budget. Ms. Rachel can provide the difference in the cost and why the proposed amendment is here.
Okay. So the legislative amendment is due to you guys going to training. Yay. So just to make sure that we don't go over that budget, so it's literally like barely $6,000 to make sure we still end in the black in that budget. The fire department is due to there being multiple vacancies at one point or another within this fiscal year, and the overtime to be able for them to stay at the minimum standards for medical staffing, and for shift coverage. So that's why theirs had to bump, because they were covering due to loss of personnel. Solid waste, we're increasing by $4,000 to ensure that the fund doesn't go over the budget, which is because our cost rises as we add new customers. So what we budgeted for didn't account for new residential waste customers. And then water is, part of it is due to the IPG, the infrastructure planning grant that covers the water mapping, water system mapping, modeling, sewer system mapping, modeling, and assessment management that we're waiting for reimbursement on, plus a $50,000 tank for Shepherd's Ridge to help with the water pressure over in the Shepherd's Ridge area.
Okay. As this is the first consideration of this ordinance, is there any objection to reading it by title only? Hearing none, Mr. Recorder.
An ordinance of the Town of Atoka, Tennessee, amending Section 1 of Ordinance Number 24-06-03 related to approved expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the ordinance for this first consideration?
I'll make a motion. Yes.
Alderman Harper, thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Deachy. Any discussion? So you've heard the recorder and the town administrator. Any discussion?
I guess first of all, legislative, you mentioned training. It's actually 11,054 to 65.
So it's with the training, the travel expenses, and all that encompassed into it.
How many of us traveled and how many times?
I don't
I don't think we have ever gone over budget like that.
Well, and to cover the additional payroll for, because right now it's already sitting over. So we're trying to get it back in the black.
Additional payroll for what?
For the board and the commissions, the planning commission.
Okay, because our salaries are set, we don't get anything extra.
So is it?
Hang on one second.
So, because this amendment covers the full fiscal year, there is one more payroll that has to come out before the end of June 30 for all boards.
Not just this board, but including planning commission.
BZA.
Planning, BZA, because I believe, isn't BZA on how many,
Yes, the best on meeting.
Everybody
on how
got
many
meetings?
meetings they have?
They've met quite frequently.
Okay, that's the problem.
Problem.
Can we get some information on where we travel to and,
Right. Sure.
you know, how many times?
Yeah.
How
So
about
we may need to just cut our travel down.
how about we get a more
Well, it's
detailed?
just the legislative travel, and I don't know what.
Yes, it's just
what we've done.
legislative.
I didn't know anywhere.
We can get a more detailed report from staff, and
Yes.
then maybe move this to the special called session.
Sure, I mean, if
Yeah.
we'll move it forward on the first reading, we'll get out a report to y'all and you can decide what to do from there, if that's what you would like.
I mean, I know it's already paid basically, we just amended the budget.
What's the board's direction for this?
Table it till the next meeting, special call meeting.
Okay, so
Then we're gonna have to have a special call.
Postpone,
pass it on
that's
the
right.
second.
Alderman Poole, if I may interject, if y'all would go ahead and vote on it for the first reading, and that way we don't have to have a special call meeting when we make our deadlines for the budget, I think that'd be the most efficient way to handle it.
That would be my suggestion as well.
Okay.
So you want to restate that motion for us, Alderman Pope?
Make a motion that, well, I think there's been a motion and a second already on it.
Okay,
We can vote.
okay, so any more discussion?
Well, I guess you just mentioned at the very end, I just asked Wesley about any unexplained expenses, but I just heard something about 54,000 for Shepherd's Bridge, so I was gonna ask about that.
You want to touch on that?
Director Galbraith, you come up to the podium, please.
And while Wesley's coming up, if you look at your financial report for the legislative section that we just went through earlier in the meeting.
Have you got your work on?
Sorry, apologies. If you look at your financial report, we're 95.3% of budget, so we're currently not over budget in the legislative section. So we got the rest of May and June to go through, so some of the additional costs are gonna have that overrun. So we're not over budget right now. We're projecting out through the end of June 30 what that might look like, but we'll get you that information.
Shepherd's Bridge, you just kind of blew kind of quickly and.
So Shepherd's Ridge, if y'all recall, we're having some pressure issues when we turn on hydrants in Shepherd's Ridge. We've talked about that a couple work sessions ago.
But go ahead.
Yeah, anyways, long story short, when this developed, go ahead.
I knew there was that sewer pump issue they had to get. Right.
So that's on the developer on sewer
Right,
park.
yes.
This is on the town park. Basically, in a nutshell, I'll give you a quick rundown. We are having pressure issues on hydrants over there, water pressure issues over in that area. So when we turn on a water hydrant in that subdivision, then we have pressure issues coming back here towards town hall.
Okay.
So we have spoken with the developer. We are going to have to put in a water vault. They did whoever approved it, previous directors before me had proved this, that the water pressure, everything would be okay. But we're having water pressure issues. So we are going to tie it on to Poplar Grove's 20-inch water main out there and put a vault in, water vault, do a tap, and to provide water services for this subdivision as well as in the future as well for growth.
Okay, so this is not something that maybe your town engineer missed or planning department missed? Or-
No, sir. No, sir.
This goes back.
This goes back when this was approved back in what this subdivision was approved. You know, it was 22ish, somewhere in that range.
It was, no, the public works director signed off saying that they.
It was okay.
Apply, that they could.
Hold on. You're gonna continue talking. Come on up.
We're gonna sit up here all night.
Yes, sorry. Yes, so going through that, with all developments, the developer requests to confirm that we can supply and provide the services that they will need in order to develop their properties. They did get that confirmation from our previous public works director. That's when we identified that we had some responsibility in it. But the developer and our public works director and myself sat down. We came up with an understanding. So they will provide the services. They'll bring in the equipment to do it. We just had to pay for the vault, and Poplar Grove Utility was willing to allow us to do that. Doing that is going to allow us, because the location of that, if we were ever to go on that 4 leg of the roundabout, that would give us proper water flow to the north end that we do struggle with now.
Okay.
I think this was earlier in 22. I've learned not to trust my memory, so.
No, it's,
I think I was still chief, but they was.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you, man. So we've had, basically, it might have been 2 public works gentlemen, two
Yes,
or
sir.
3.
Yes.
And at some point, it was apparently signed off on, but then as this development got underway and testing of the hydrants, it's when it came to light.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
this
sir.
is a fix, and like I think Wesley stated it, this is a partnership with the developer. The developer is taking some of the cost, and the town is taking some of the cost. And he's been really good to work with.
Yes, sir. Basically, we will be providing the parts, basically, and some of the labor as well, too. Also, they'll be providing a bunch of labor, Traco and all the accessories, everything we need as well, too.
So this will ensure not only Shepherd's Ridge, but for future growth.
And that's my next question.
Yes,
We
sir.
approved the fuel center and the apartments, and I'm just making sure this is not because I think in the past, there's been some conversation by a previous public works director about at some point, we might even think about another water tower. And so.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to kick that around. You was talking about water plant a minute ago. I'm excited. Let's go with it. Let's do it.
Speaking of money, again, as a member of the planning commission, and
Yes, sir.
as one who is an outspoken proponent of smart growth.
Yes,
not
sir.
just growth to
100%.
outgrow our infrastructure, but to make sure that our infrastructure keeps up with our growth.
Yes,
To
sir.
actually stay ahead of it, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
So,
I totally agree with you, and that's why we're trying to get on top of it before trying to fight from behind it. 20, I couldn't read that. It looked like 2020. 2020.
Yeah,
what she showed.
that's more what my memory
Yes,
is
sir.
telling me.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So it's been a few years back, and like I said, Shepherd Ridge was kind of kicked off, pushed them back, and then kicked back off again. So, yes, sir. Like I said, we could provide water in there. It's just when we turn hydrants on, we're draining some area. The pressure is dropping dramatically.
so I'll ask again, if we spend an extra $54,000 in our water fund, does that put us in the potential to be in the negative in this whole state issue?
We accounted for that in the proposed amended.
Yes,
We got it covered.
We got it covered.
It's
Yes, sir.
within this amendment to make sure we don't get in the red.
So even though our expenses could be higher, in other words, you're thinking that our overall income is still gonna cover the 54,000?
And reimbursements,
And
yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's all.
Any other discussion? Stay there. Good questions. All right.
Stay close.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Yeah, I think you might as well. You're up here in a minute. All right, we have a motion, we have approved.
I also have a question. Chief Scott here, the fire department?
He is not.
Okay, because 63,000 sounds like a lot of overtime. I know we have some open positions, but it just seems like a lot of money.
Well, and then part of it is to cover for a grant for the cardiac monitors, a portion of that, because we're waiting on that reimbursement for it.
Okay.
The Zoll cardiac monitor,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
you went
AFG.
down, yes.
I know it was close to 50.
Okay, that brings the 63 way down. Okay.
Good question. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. We're going to do a roll call vote in this first consideration. Alderman Poole.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Janine.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
No.
Alderman Teachy. Alderman Lightson.
No.
All right, we have 4-2, motion is adopted on first consideration. Exhibit N, we have a change order from Climber Paving. And look who it is. Director Yarbrough.
Back again.
Could you please, I'm town administrator, you want to let him take it?
It's
Yeah, might as well.
in the packet, that is
Okay.
fine.
I'm here. How are y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Glad to see you. All right, so if you look here, we've got a change order, and it's an overage, which y'all got the email back about 2 weeks ago for the overages for the 4,500 for the I lost my train of thought. Driveway extensions over on Sharon, Al, and Laverne, where we put sewer in many, many years ago, was cut. There's a lot of gravel that was in between, and when we were over there paving, we had them go ahead and attach it all the way to the driveways with y'all's permission. That was 4,500. That brought the total up. And then we had Climber Paving do the overlay of the Tipton Bridge. If you recall, D-Mint Construction Company did win the bid for that bridge, but the overlay was going to cost us about $1,200 per ton. So that was a little high. We figured we could get Climber to do it for us. It'll be a little cheaper. They're already in town, so on and so forth. So their per ton was $128 compared to $1,200 per ton to do overlay. So we had Climber do overlay. So
Say that number one more time.
So D-Mint Construction, the overlay for the BM2 mix was $1,200 a ton, and then Climber's BM2 mix was $128 per ton. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that brought the grand total to $542,490. We did approve this paving project was for $493,772.75. Like I said, we do have some overages just because we had to do the overlay of the bridge, and as well as the change order we did for the driveway extensions on north end of town.
Entertain a motion about this change order, Exhibit N, in your packets.
Motion to approve Exhibit N.
We have a motion by Alderman Harper. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Poole. Any other questions concerning this Climber paving change order?
Maybe not necessarily this change order, but you would think people would be excited that we paved the road. But this was a particular paving project that did not have curb and gutter. Right? Is it correct for me to say that if you're paving against curb and gutter, it gives you kind of a stop versus if you're paving in an area that has an open ditch, you're going to have some, I'm going to call them spillage. Some of the asphalts, there's no place to truly stop it, but you're going to have, it's not as clean. Is that a correct
That's fair enough, yes, sir.
Okay, before I respond to them, that's all. I just wanted to be thankful I got the road paved. They were upset if we worth of grass or, asphalt.
It happens. But like I told you before, my pavement plan, our guys' pavement plan, we want to do a little north end of town, south end, a little bit in the middle. So eventually, we're all together. So.
Any other questions for Director Yarborough?
Since Dement didn't do the paving of the bridge, do you have any money left over from that?
Yes, we got about $2,000 because we did have some high-end runnages over there as well too. So we saved a little bit, but there again, I do have it in the budget. So.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of approving the change order for Climber Paving, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries.
Thank y'all. Can I go sit down?
Yes. I get to come up. Oh.
Can I give you a 3-minute time limit, Mayor?
I'm good at one of the things that I get to do as mayor, for those of y'all that some of our regular attendees, I'm sure you've heard before, but we make proclamations. I've had people asking me before, what's the deal? Why do you do that? We are trying to bring to light not only a problem we might have or a situation or even somebody doing a great thing in our area, but we want to bring awareness and bring that to light. So we've got 3 proclamations tonight, and if you're not careful, you might learn something seriously about that. So tonight, the first one we have is, this is actually National Garden Week. I believe we've got some ladies. Y'all come on up. I don't have to be up here by myself. Miss Jackie's supposed to have a boot on. I know that. I know that for a fact. So she's giving it off tonight. All right. So here we have a proclamation, National Garden Club. This is National Garden Week. Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and the resources of the earth through the planting of seeds, the care of all plants, and the riches of their efforts. And whereas gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through their innovation and their hard work. And whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardening furnishes a challenging and productive activity for our citizens, for those just learning as well as those having years of experience in work. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of our life, teaches that rewards can come from diligent effort. Y'all agree with that? Yeah, I think so. And whereas gardening enables members of garden clubs across the nation and the world to make a world of difference in the communities where they reside and work. Now therefore, be it resolved that in an effort to acknowledge the importance of gardening and the numerous contributions of gardeners, I, Barry L. Aiken, Mayor of the town of Atoka, hereby proclaim the week of June 2nd to the 8th, you got time, as National Garden Week, and shall be observed in the town of Atoka. There you go, ladies.
And we do want to say how we partner with the city, the Park and Rec, because we do, that week we have a children's camp, and how many of you got signed up?
We take up to 20, so we should fill up, we normally do.
Yeah, it's a great project, but if you noticed Atkinson Park, we've got ladies that maintain the flower bed there, the greenway, the planters in front of City Hall, we maintain those, but we meet once a month at City Hall, and so we really have partnered with the city of Atoka.
And you're always willing for new gardeners
Oh.
to learn.
Especially,
dig in the dirt.
Yes.
especially those that can dig.
Let me get one more picture for Facebook stuff. All right, perfect, thank you.
And we are a new club, we're 5 years old.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all can sit in there. It's all framed. We also have our next proclamation is Mental Health Awareness Month. I know this is something that our former Alderman, Christy Renfro, is near and dear to her heart, and she could not be here tonight. But we're going to read some stats about mental health awareness. So whereas there's a proven connection between good mental health and overall personal health, and whereas an estimated 26% of Americans age 18 and older, about 1 in 4, suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder in a given year. Many people suffer from more than one mental disorder at a given time. In particular, depressive illness tends to co-occur with substance use or abuse and anxiety disorders. And whereas young adults age 18 to 25 have the highest rate of experiencing any mental health concerns, it's actually over 30% for that age group, and the highest rate of serious mental illness. And whereas according to studies from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, up to 28% of our veterans experience mental health issues leading to a diagnosis such as PTSD or depression. And whereas approximately 3% of all the people in the United States will experience some form of psychosis, and every year about 100,000 teenagers and young adults will experience their first psychotic episode. And whereas only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental illness actually seeks treatment for his or her mental illness, and whereas the stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who benefit from mental health services from seeking help, and whereas good mental health is critical, as we said at the beginning, to the well-being of our families, our communities, our schools and businesses, and whereas greater public awareness about mental illness can change negative attitudes and behaviors toward people with mental illnesses. Now therefore, I, Barry Aiken, Mayor of the town of Atoka, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month. As the Mayor of Atoka, I also call upon all Atoka citizens, public and private institutions, businesses and schools to recommit our community to not only increasing awareness and understanding of mental illness, but to reduce the stigma and discrimination and promote appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses. Be it further resolved, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen do hereby proclaim the day of May 25th as National Psychosis Awareness Day in the town of Atoka to promote public understanding, to dispel myths and misconceptions, and encourage early intervention, enabling those with a history of psychosis to contribute to the community and lead meaningful, productive lives. Those are some very serious stats, and we're just wanted to do that. So, thank you. All right, and our last one is Foster Care Awareness. You, Miss Jo?
I am.
Oh, I get to meet Miss Jo. Miss Jo and I have had some emails back and forth.
That's good to be here.
All right, all right. Y'all want to do, Miss Shannon did a great job, but y'all want to bring anything before I read this, just some stats about the foster care program?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Aiken and Board of Aldermen for sharing this time with us tonight. I work for a nonprofit called Tennessee Kids Belong, and we seek to improve the experiences and outcomes of youth in foster care. And that looks like providing training and equipping churches to provide wraparound support for foster families. We have business programming to get local businesses engaged in showing honor and support for families in the community, as well as partnering with local government to help raise awareness for the foster care landscape. The last numbers that I received, and Shannon can speak more to this, but from Department of Children's Services, I received numbers on April 24th, just this past month, that there are about 35 youth in foster care in Tipton County and about 77 approved foster homes in the county. And I don't know, Shannon, can you add any more to that?
I will say, like, we have, there's a lot of issues with kids coming from out of county here, out of region here, and kids here going all the way to Nashville or Murfreesboro or far away. So we would love to see it better where we can keep our kids in our schools here, and in homes where they can engage more with their community and their local stuff. One of the things that a lot of people ask, like, how they can do to help, she has a lot of things. If you look online on Tennessee Kids Belong, there's a lot of really awesome ways you can get involved. One of the ways that we have is, you heard us talk about our butterfly boxes, like they're out right now because it's for National Foster Care Month. So we have 12 locations in Tipton County, and it's on Facebook and on our website you can look at, where you can go and you can actually leave a note for a foster child. And so you just look for the butterfly box and write them a note, and then we deliver that to them when we're on call or when they come into care, things like that. So it's a free way to help. It's a free way to encourage a child that you may never meet, because we want to protect their privacy, so you may never know who they are, but you can still make a difference. So.
Something we say often, and Shannon and I have said this in both of our organizations, but maybe not everyone is called to foster and adopt, but everyone is called to foster care. So I'd really encourage you, whether that's getting involved with the foster gift and getting your church involved, maybe your business, or just getting involved in your community and caring for the kids in your area.
Awesome. It was so weird because I knew we were going to be doing this tonight, and I had at least 3 instances about foster families in foster care, and I'll just give you one of them. One of the gentlemen I respect tremendously is Dr. Ben Carson, and I found out this weekend, again, I think it was a God thing, but Dr. Ben Carson's mom was actually living in a foster family for a while in her life when she was growing up, and then of course go from there. Dr. Ben is an amazing individual, and who knows. But that foster family plays such an important thing with his mother. So awesome. But we've got a great proclamation we're going to read. So, whereas the aim of Tennessee Kids Belong, Ms. Joe, is to change the experience and outcome for children in foster care. And whereas Tennessee Kids Belong aims to make all 95 counties in Tennessee foster-friendly communities. And whereas Tennessee Kids Belong empowers people to recognize that regardless of one's occupation, skill set, life stage, one has the unique ability and opportunity to impact the lives of children in foster care. And whereas together we can provide every single foster family with wraparound support of their community, from meeting their tangible needs to their own employers and local businesses supporting their journey. Whereas together we commit to ensure every child in the town of Atoka has a home and a sense of belonging, and that's big letters, sense of belonging. Therefore, be it resolved that in an effort to acknowledge the importance of foster care awareness, I, Barry Aiken, Mayor of the town of Atoka, hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Foster Care Awareness Month, and urge all citizens to support Tennessee Kids Belong and become foster friendly. And be it further resolved that I, Barry Aiken of the town of Atoka, is committed to the continued support of Tennessee Kids Belong and their efforts to end the crisis of kids in foster care. I think y'all have done a wonderful job of just giving a little glimpse of how much this is needed in our society. So thank you very much. Is this good, Amanda? Oh, we're waiting for somebody behind us. Thank y'all again. Appreciate it. Item F under our new business, we have a resolution for a development agreement concerning Newberry and Hayward Park apartments. Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, sir. So the board has before them a resolution to adopt the developers agreement. The developers agreement has been through a council review as part of new projects that are coming into town, subdivisions or otherwise. We have, golly, that's what have been a year, 18 months ago that we had a developers agreement requirement. So this would be the first one that the board would be approving and entering into with the developer. And if you've read through that, then you know what that encompasses. And it's a simple resolution approving that. And the planning commission approved the plan, and the project is conditioned upon the developer's agreement.
I would entertain a motion about this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alderman Harvey. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Hearing none. Motion fails. Resolution fails. What would you-
I don't know either, that's the problem.
Okay.
Just got this today. I'd like a little time to look it over and develop some questions. I've got a couple already about the land grants, or the donation for the land. We'll add it to the work session.
Okay. All right. Moving on, item G, we have a resolution, this is G on new business, Exhibit S in your packet. We have a resolution for a TAP grant proposal. Mr. Administrator? Or you want to turn this over to Director Yarborough again?
Yeah. Really, it's just approve a scope of work for the TAP grant that we've already been approved for, but
You don't have your mic on, Mr. Administrator.
it's really approving a scope of work for the engineering firm for the TAP grant we've already been approved for on Kimbrough and Virginius. But I know that Wesley's got some good information to supplement.
Back again. How are y'all doing this evening?
All right.
Feels like I've been up here before, but yeah, who knows? So before you is a approval for the SSR to be the overseer of the TAP grant, which we approved back in January. Kind of had to get some wordage done with TDOT and all that stuff, and we got it before you. So they will be doing the scope of project. So if you have any questions?
So we have a resolution, Exhibit S. I would entertain a motion about this TAP grant proposal.
What was it, the funding on this? How much?
It was an 80-20 match. Mhm. And if you can see that we do get a small city funding from the state that we've been allocating to this project, because we do know that was helping with our 20% match as well. So
What is that our estimate of what our part's gonna be?
yeah, that's on the packet. Yeah, 20% of the 1.1, I'm sorry, excuse me, $1.1 million grant that was awarded for these sidewalks. And we've been, like I said, been using the small city funding that we get from the state to push to this as well. So
So the funding's there.
yes, yes.
If I remember correctly, we're responsible for it out of the warranty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not the citizen.
No, sir. Town.
So we have a motion for Exhibit S in your packet. A motion by Alderman Shepherd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Lightsey. Any other questions for Director Yarborough or staff? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank y'all.
That carries. Item H in your packet, Exhibit T is in Tango. We have a resolution approving and accepting the streets in Lot Me 3. Mr. Administrator or whoever.
Yeah, so this was a partnership as a means to complete the dedication of the subdivision in Phase 3, Lock Mead. There were some issues with some roadways, and consultation and direction from the board, we partnered with the developer to offset some costs and also finish out a particular section that the town was still responsible for from years ago that had a final layer on it. So if you've been out there into Lockmead, then you've seen that the roadway is paved, there's been inspections in place, and this is just accepting the dedication. And I believe it's been to the planning commission, and they have recommended the acceptance.
All right. I'll entertain a motion about Exhibit T in your packet.
Motion to approve Exhibit T in our packet.
I have a motion by Alderman Schaefer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Alderman Geechee?
Yes.
Second by Alderman Geechee. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I think we have police recognition. It's Chief Anthony Rudolph. He's the chief of our Atoka Police Department. I'm going to let him do the talk.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, citizens, family, friends, I'm excited tonight. Back on May the 3rd, we had 2 openings within the department that we needed to fill. Those were to the rank of corporal. We went through a review process, and we found 2 candidates that were strengthening their leadership considerations and skills within the department. And before you, I have Officer Lydia Hubbard and Officer James Jordan standing before you because those 2 were chosen to the appointment of corporal. We're extremely excited for this because this is their continuation in leadership development, but also because their peers come to them, looking to them for guidance. And we're excited that they have accepted the position, and we look forward for the days to come because of their dedication to the town and the citizens of Atoka. So we're very excited in this, and I will not prolong this any longer because they've been waiting since May 3rd to get these badges. So I just wanted to do this in the public forum so that you all as a town and as the family and as those who lead this town can see your officers firsthand and to be able to participate in this. So without further ado, I want to present the badge of Corporal to Corporal Lydia Hubbard. The badge of Corporal to Corporal James Jordan.
If either one of the corporals would have anything to say?
No, I really appreciate it, guys. The town's been very good to me, so well served on both parts.
All right,
Good.
awesome.
Let me take
We need one more picture. I didn't get anything.
To a group. Perfect. Sergeant Newton? No. Yes, Sergeant Newton.
She wants a phone.
I didn't ask.
Already giving the configuration.
Make me look. Who are we looking at, here or here?
Wherever you want to look, sir.
There first, you're good. All right.
to item 7 on our agenda this evening. It's miscellaneous items from the mayor, the board of aldermen, and the town administrator. I got a couple of items. I think I mentioned last meeting that we were working on the town administrator's contracts coming up for renewal, and I just wanted to update the board that we're really close to finalizing that to present to the board, and that I would think within a week or two for that, and maybe in our special called session, which brings me to our second notice. So we had our first reading of our budget last month, and it was my hope that we were going to have our second reading for our fiscal year 26 budget tonight. We always want to be fully transparent to the citizens of Atoka. And while we did get the notice in the leader as far as advertising the budget, we didn't actually have the numbers that were published in the leader. So that oversight's been corrected, and it will be coming out, and to give the public plenty of opportunity, because again, we're always about transparency. We would be eligible as far as, and what I would request is for us to have a special called session on May 27th. That is a Tuesday. If the board would check their calendars, see if you are available. Is it? Did you hear that?
Is the Tipton County Republican Party meeting happening on the 27th?
If it is, all parties that request the boardroom, no board gets first choice.
We look. Yeah, that is at 7 o'clock. We could, or we could do whatever the board wants. We could do it at 6 o'clock. Before that. Okay. 6 o'clock on the 27th? Okay. So we'll have a special called meeting Tuesday, May 27th. We will publicize that to all the citizens and put that in all of our normal means of advertising that will be occurring. That's the only thing I have, except I guess I would remind the board, if you ever have any questions about anything in the agenda, that the town administrator is always available. Just remember that. So, what's the board got?
I've got one thing, Mr. Mayor, or two things actually, from the county. As many as you know, the health department has moved up on the highway for a while. It's coming back to Mueller Brass Road in a couple of weeks, so you'll be able to get back out there. You can still go up on the highway next to Baptist Tipton and get seen, but it is moving back to Mueller Brass Road. Also, the animal shelter will be open hopefully in a couple of weeks, and there is going to be room for 60 dogs and 125 cats.
Okay.
That doesn't mean bring them and drop them off.
So that's new.
It's going to be a nice new
New and improved.
New and improved, yeah. It's about double the capacity that it's able to hold now. So.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
A couple of things of interest for the legislature. The governor signed several bills Friday. One of them's gonna probably affect us, and I may relate over to Alderman Jim on this. The ambulance bill, he signed it Friday, best I could tell today, which is gonna hold municipalities, could hold them responsible for some of the cost of the ambulance. So that's something that we might want to be touching with our county. So-
County would have to pass something about that.
Right. The other is the the Senate Bill 136, which I was glad to see, is electronic meeting. If we're meeting and an alderman or the mayor, et cetera, has a family emergency, taking care of a family member, weather related, et cetera, it can be done electronically. That was signed by the governor Friday. There's a couple other things that didn't get signed. There's one in municipal court some increase, but the chief, I'm sure him and the clerk will do that, just something that I ended up with looking at today.
I'll just tag on with what Alderman Poole said. One of the things that did not get passed, and we're gonna push again really hard next year and ask you, the citizens, to reach out to your representatives, is there's this item called the state shared sales tax. And all it is returning sales tax money back to the municipalities that generate it. Years ago, I believe at least 2 years ago, it was gonna mean an additional $168,000 for the town of Atoka. And I look at that as a very, very important thing for the town. This is not another tax on you, the citizens. You're already paying the sales tax. We're just asking the state to put it back the way it used to be. The state was in financial trouble many, many years ago, and they changed how the revenue sharing was done. We're asking them to put it back the way it was now that the state's doing very well. So that did not get passed, and we were very disappointed. Considerably disappointed. Mr. Administrator, or anyone?
Well, I was gonna say, 2 items, Mayor. One, before we have our special call, do you think we'll get a copy of the administrator's proposed contract for us to look over?
Yes.
Do we have a chance?
Yes,
Okay.
most definitely, yes.
And then secondly, I just called this a minute ago. If you guys have Exhibit A handy in your packet, it's the sidewalk project. I just see some red lines going across all the way to Walgreens, and I just want to make sure we're not putting sidewalks over there.
No.
I can.
Okay.
Ms. Amanda, would you come up and vote, please? Ms. Amanda was a big part of the TAP grant, and go ahead.
So you have, if you guys remember, we have a multimodal access grant. The way I believe that we were awarded that is because we shown on the map that we connected to a previously awarded multimodal access grant on the Mumford side.
Okay.
So that's just showing that it was a connector from a previously approved. So that's not part of it. The TAP grant's only going down Kimbrough and it'll in Virginia's.
Okay.
And that connects to your multimodal that is 206 out here. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Any other board?
I do, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just a few things. Amanda, I know at the last IDB meeting, you had discussed invitation for the board to attend the next IDB meeting for just some questions for John Chris agreement. I didn't know if that was at this next schedule or when that would be.
I think it was proposed to have a joint work session, and then I don't think that it was actually finalized as far as y'all for sure. Well, the IDB officially saying that they wanted that. I do have the notes as far as proposing for the IDB to hold a work session, and then just cordially invite. Not officially do a joint work session, only a cordial invite. So I am doing that IDB, but I haven't confirmed the date yet.
Okay.
So this, as far as this Thursday, that's not.
This isn't
This
the
is
joint
not
work
good.
session. No,
Gotcha.
sir.
Okay. And then I guess for you too, is there any update on getting the website updated?
Well, we have, in addition to town staff, which is Anna Pond, and I do believe that she has hit the ground running this week to already start moving some things in the right direction with that.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, Miss Anna got the position. She started Monday, and like Amanda said, I think she had a lot waiting on her. And one of the big responsibilities is going to be our communication branches, social media, etc. Good
Yeah,
question.
that, we had quite a list for Miss Anna. Today is her second day.
Yeah.
So the website updates, pictures, make sure that it's updated. She's gonna be setting a meeting with Revise to see everything that we're paying for as part of the website package, make sure we're utilizing all of that. And if we need to do something different or do an add-on, we're talking about chat bots to make public awareness. If a citizen needs a question, hey, how do I get a permit for a shed? They can type that question in and it'll take them right to the answer. So looking at frequently asked questions and ways to interact with the public and get them the information easy as soon as we can. So she's got plenty to do there.
Yeah, that may be something we discuss in our work session, maybe some things we'd like to see on the website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to hear if the board wants something in particular. Absolutely. Love to hear it.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Administrator.
A couple brief items, and they will be brief. I know that Alderman Giannini has been asking for the check registry. We've got those copies. I'm sorry they weren't sitting up there for you tonight. We've been sending those. Do you find these helpful, and are they something that you want to continue to see or included in your packet, or do you want to see some other information in a different format? So I just need some direction. If you want this information in the packet, we'll start including them. Or if you're looking for something in particular, we'll find a different format and provide whatever we need to you.
I like it, the packet's perfect. Just comes with it.
Well, we talked about getting iPads and going digital.
I was gonna say, that's a big stack of paper right there.
It is. I have the stack of iPads that we're going through. That's one of Anna's tasks too. I hope to have those ready for you for the June meeting.
Okay.
So that would be, each of you would be issued an iPad. It wouldn't have data service. It would just be Wi-Fi only, because you're either going to be using it here or at home or at work. It would have all of the board packet information, so we wouldn't be printing out hundreds and hundreds of pages. I think.
Let me clarify, when I say packet, I mean the information, not necessarily the paper version.
Oh, well, I think that was a separate question. So one, I guess the question is, do you want the check registry in the board packet?
Yeah.
If you find this information useful, or if you're looking for something else, or would like it presented in a different way, we can run a different report and give you whatever you're looking for. We will make sure you have all the information that you're looking at, that you're needing. So I'm hearing yes, so we'll just.
I mean, I personally don't have to have it in the board packet, you know.
I like it in the board packet.
If you're emailing us the board packet, which you do, I think, Friday before? Just gives us time to be able to look at it, so
Sure.
we're not going to meeting cold.
Well, I know that, when you look at the report and you start looking through there, it's just a bunch of numbers of checks and vendors and amounts and dates. I didn't know if you wanted to see a more robust form of the information or whatever, but we'll start putting it in there, no problem. We're gonna be doing walkthroughs of the facilities and all departments over the next week or so, we're gonna be looking at things like repairs and maintenance and just things that might stick out that might need attention. So we'll be walking through those and developing a corrective action plan for each and addressing those accordingly. So I think sometimes and we've talked about this, when you get a different set of eyes on things, just get a kind of a fresh look and a different perspective. So if we can make some adjustments or repairs or do some things that need to be addressed, we'll take care of that. Update on the Atoka Railroad. So I'm sure some of you have been wondering what's happening with that. So the owner of Atoka Railroad had offered to work with the town, a little background, to give a long-term purchase arrangement. And the intent was that the owner would be working with the Industrial Development Board to contract through the town to operate the facility. So Alderman Poole had mentioned being at a IDB meeting, I think Alderman Schaefer, but at a recent meeting, there were some concerns raised about the town serving in that capacity with the owner or with the IDB. It was communicated to the owner, and he was on a tight timeline to return to his home in Florida, so he had reached a point where he was preparing to put the facility up for auction. To avoid further delay, the owner has decided to move in a different direction to attempt to reopen the facility, which is still good news. It'll remain open in Atoka, and the community will continue to benefit once it resumes operation. So just wanted to give you an
Just to
update.
clarify, they're gonna reopen, but privately?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of bummed a little bit, but there was a lot of questions that we still needed answered, so.
I need to clarify something. We were not privy to that discussion. We went to that meeting, but we were not in there when that was discussed.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Thanks for the correction.
Yes, we were not in that.
Okay. And I think that is all that I have. So our town recorder, she gets a big speaking part tonight.
So as we started with all of our new hires for the operation clerks, since everyone calls in, I ask that they come to the meeting so you guys can put a face with the name when you call and know who you're talking to. So Amanda Phillips is our newest operations clerk. She's been with us almost a month. I made her start on cutoff, and she's still here. And she's a great fit and catching on, and we're happy to have her.
Anything else? All right.
Motion to adjourn?
All right, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?